All right guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a brand new garage heater to put up in my garage made by Inokraft. Let's take a look at this and see how easy this one's gonna be to install and go over everything that you need to install this and then see how this heater actually works. So this is the Inokraft garage heater unit that I'm gonna be installing in my garage. It's a 7,500 watt, 240 volt, 25,500 BTU unit that will actually heat up to a 3-car garage is what they're claiming. And they claim that it has an adjustable thermostat and a remote control. This should be a pretty nice unit for whenever those days get really cold. Let's go ahead, let's open this up and see what all comes in the box. So Inokraft is claiming the tools that you'll need are a Phillips head and a flathead screwdriver, a 17 millimeter, they're calling it a number 7, I'm assuming they mean 17 millimeter, some sort of crowbar, a hammer, 2 AA or AAA batteries for the remote, and some form of a power drill. So you're also, besides these tools, gonna need to have a installation done of actual wire that will run to this from your breaker box. They recommend a 45 amp breaker. Then obviously you need something that can handle this 240 volt, 7,500 watt heater. My recommendations is call a certified electrician, get them to install it properly, and then you can simply just hook up this heater unit. Okay, let's go ahead and open this up and pull everything out. First thing you're gonna get are some instructions. Let's see what else is in this box first. Looks like you are gonna get some bolts to probably mount this to the ceiling. And you get a couple little, looks like little dials here. This is gonna be used to also mount the unit to the ceiling, to the bracket. Then it looks like you do get a remote to control the unit remotely. Pretty nice little remote. It's got a power button up and down, probably for your temperature. I'm not sure what this does. This may be the fan speed. And then it looks like you can switch between Celsius and Fahrenheit, and then also set some sort of a timer. And one other thing that I think I should mention is the energy saving feature that is on this heater that I don't have on my other heater that I have. This thing's really cool. So basically it's got a high-low setting, and in auto mode, whenever you're using the heater's thermostat, not an external thermostat, it'll basically switch between high and low as needed, all depending upon the ambient temperature of the room and the temperature you have set on the actual heater. So if it's only a few degrees, it knows that it can go into low mode and not have to produce as much power to get it to the actual temperature that you want, therefore saving you some money in the long run. And this is going to be your ceiling mount bracket. So this is the back of the unit, and you can see that the fan is right in there, so that will kick on to be able to blow the heat throughout your garage. And this little switch looks like what it does is it has an internal thermostat or an external. So if you're gonna be running internal, you'll flip it to 1. If you're gonna be running an external thermostat, you'll flip it to 2. That's a pretty cool little feature. Now on the sides of the unit here, you've got some points that this mounting bracket is gonna mount up to. Got that on each side. And then the front here, you do have these little baffles that will help direct the air coming out of this wherever you need it to. And down here, it looks like you've got a standard temperature gauge and some controls right here. And then that should display your current temperature or the temperature you have it set at. We should be able to open this up and be able to see how this thing needs to be wired up. Let's take a look inside here. I do like how this has a nice little door. This is pretty cool. So this will make it a lot easier whenever we go to mount this up. You can just kind of have this hanging there, get everything wired up, and then just simply close the door and we're good to go. So looking on the lid here, it does look like it has some instructions for the thermostat that's built in or an external thermostat. That's nice to see. And then it also gives you the recommended fuse size, and then also the wire size that you're gonna need. So this looks pretty basic. We should just have 2 wires here that we need to actually wire up for our heater. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get this mounted up to the ceiling first. So now that we've got a good look at this and we know how we're gonna wire this up, we're gonna use just the thermostat built into the heater. I'm not gonna use an external one. We're gonna punch out one of these punch outs on the sides here to run our cable through. I've already got the wire pre-ran through the ceiling into the breaker box. I already had that all pre-set up. So we just have to mount this up, then run the cable through the side, and then attach the cabling or wiring right to the points over here. Let's go ahead and let's get this guy mounted up to the ceiling. Okay guys, I'm up here on my ladder. As you guys can see, this is the cabling coming out of the ceiling and it runs over to my breaker box. I've got a nice outdoor wrapping on it. I just thought this would look better than just a plain cable. And then I've also got a hole pre-drilled up there for this mounting bracket. I'm only gonna mount one bolt to this. That way I can kind of swivel it. I'm gonna use this center hole right here. So let's go ahead and let's get this mounted up, and then we can mount up the heater, which could be a little bit difficult by myself, but I should be able to do it. We'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and get this bracket installed. This should be a pretty easy process. I did put a washer on it so it would fit the bracket a little bit better. Now I do want to leave this just a little bit loose, that way it can swivel. Okay, so next up, before I get up on the ladder with the unit, I want to punch out the hole. There are little punch outs that are really hard to see on each side. I'm going to punch out this side. Oh yeah. Looks like this is going to come out easier than I thought. There we go. Should just be able to loosen this up and it should pop out. Yep. Make sure there's no sharp edges. I do have a thing that will thread in here to protect the wire from getting cut, but it feels pretty smooth. So yeah, there's the punch out. All right, this is the part that you probably want to have two people with, but I've just got me right now, so I'm just gonna go with it. So just make sure you have everything nice and handy. I've got my little thumb screw type things right here, and we want to make sure that we mount this the correct direction. Okay, there's one. Switch hands. It's kind of awkward. All right. Okay, now the heater's on there, and then we just have to get the thumb screws for these to position it. But for right now, it can actually just kind of tilt back if it needs to. So I'm just gonna do my best guess of what I think. And I am thinking something like that is gonna be good. But once you get it set to where you want it, you can tighten them down. All right, cool. We are done with that part. Now we can run our wire into here and get this wired up and then power it on. I do like how this has one screw and a door hinge instead of a whole bunch of screws around the outside. So now we can take our cabling, or our wire, run it through, and then should be able to put the locking nut on that. Let me show you what this looks like. Here you can see I've got my cabling coming through here, and I've got a little kind of nut that holds that on, and then I've got my black and white cabling right here, or wire, and then I've got a ground wire. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook that up. Then after we've done that, I should be able to flip the breaker and power this unit on. Okay, so the heater's fully hooked up. I closed up the actual wiring area and then also flipped the breaker. I put some batteries in the remote. Let's see if this thing works. Okay, there it is. And I've got my remote right here. Let's just hit the power button. Oh, looks like it turned on. And it says 72. So let's see what happens. Okay, as I'm hitting the up button, that's actually changing the temperature that I want to set it to. Tap the squiggly button, you can see it says fan, or maybe you can't. I'll get closer. Now this says high, so this should, in theory, turn on the heater. Oh yeah, I can smell that heater heating up for the first time. It is definitely heating up, and we should see the temperature gauge actually start to increase. Oh man, that thing is actually putting out a lot of heat. It's gonna be kind of hard to sit here and hold this. But let me click the squiggly button again so you guys can see what it does. This is high, that's off. And then just the fan, which is a cool feature, so you can run just the fan, no heater. Then you can do auto high, but I do like the just the fan feature. That's actually a really cool feature. Let's put this back on high and let this run for a little bit and see if we can get this to 81 degrees. Right now it's showing, I believe it was showing 71. So I'm gonna let this run for a little bit and see if it'll heat up to 81 degrees. Okay, so it's been probably about 4 minutes and it says it's at 75. And I've gotta say, it's definitely warming up in here. So I know it's not winter yet, so heating up the garage whenever it's already 71 in here to say 81 is not gonna be super hard for this heater. So the real big test for this heater is gonna be whenever it gets down to below freezing come December and January. But I have had a heater in this garage before and it wasn't quite as powerful. I believe it was 1800 BTUs, with this one being 25,500 BTUs. It's significantly more BTUs than my last one. And I do like a few of the features on this one versus the old unit that I had. That fan feature is a really cool feature because in the summertime, I'm always wanting to circulate air in my garage, and having an extra fan in the garage is gonna be a big help to move some of the air. Even if it's just a little bit, it's definitely gonna help. So as I've been talking to you, it's already jumped up 2 more degrees. It's at 77, just about. I can tell you this thing is getting warm. I am a good 15 feet away from it and I can feel that fan actually blowing. So this unit is gonna be a pretty good little unit, I think. So only time will tell if the Inokraft unit is a quality unit, but so far it's pretty nice and it's actually pretty quiet also. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Usually my microphone dampens the sound pretty well, but all right, so there you go, guys. That's the Inokraft 7500 watt heater. Super easy to install. Since I already had the wiring done, I did this in probably about an hour total time. You guys may have heard it just kicked off. So once it meets temperature, the fan will run a little bit to cool the coils down just a little, and then the fan will shut off automatically. So I am super excited to try this one out and compare it to the unit that I had last year. The last year's unit was really nice, but this one seems to have a few of those extra features. So if you guys want to pick up your own Inokraft 7500 watt garage heater, I'll put some links down in the description below. And if you guys enjoyed this content, I would appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. It helps a small channel like mine grow just a little bit more. And hit that like button so this video gets pushed out to all kinds of other people so they can heat up their garage in the winter. All right, guys, see you in the next one.